Oh my goodness! If y'all could just hear some of the stuff that this old man says during the pre-recording, however you want to, whatever. Before we start the show, if you listen to all this stuff, if you could hear the stuff that this man says, y'all would be blown away. Like, it just
Dropping the mic
there's no mic to drop. You don't have a mic to drop. What are you talking about?
right here.
Yeah,
This is
you,
the mic. This is the mic.
yeah, right, right. What's going on, everybody? We are back. I know. I still gotta talk to old boy about that, but we were not here last week, and we hope you all had a great holiday. Those of you that were
Absolutely.
celebrating, and everybody was safe. But there was a lot of stuff going on outside of what we're talking about today, which was kind of interesting. Like, well, mostly about Kanye, but that's something for another time. Like, oh man. But today, I'm talking about respect, as the song goes, RESPECT, right?
Yes. When it relates to a man, respecting the man.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I mean, just it's really interesting. I feel like it's something that goes without being talked about, not really talked about a lot, but it's kind of like one of those things when you're playing a team sport and you're not it's not the flashy role, it's like the lineman or something like that, like the
Right?
lineman or the fullback on a team, like
Mhm.
they don't get any recognition but everybody on the team respects them. Kind of like, I feel it's kind of like the same thing for
Yeah.
us guys, in a sense. Like, in our relationships and things like that, we get a lot of respect, but we're not really talked about a whole, like, we're not put out there like that, like a receiver or a quarterback would. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense.
So it tag, you're saying like we get respect with our peers, but we don't get respect outside of that.
Like your
Because they can
relationships,
respect the position.
right? I mean, like, for instance, our peers, loved ones, like, they know what we do behind the scenes, but I guess it's like, as a whole, I feel like there's not a lot of respect that gets brought up for the men. Um, I mean, because look at it. I guess look at it this way. Father's Day is what, one holiday, and then what you have: Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas. Most of those are, you cater more stuff to your, not cater more stuff to your significant other, the women. Those are, whenever I see those holidays, those are more, I'm more connected to the females. Like, those are like the ladies' holidays. Go get what you want or stuff like that. Um, and like the only holiday I really feel that's like for the men or fathers or whatever is Father's Day, and then that's it. Kind of like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense. That makes sense. It is really it is that way. It's not as publicized. It's not as um uh I guess promoted
mhm.
in a sense to go out. It's Father's Day. Go get some underwear or some ties or something like that. But when it comes to Mother's Day, it's a totally different ball game. And you got other holidays that cement or encourage the female side of things to you know Valentine's Day is not really a holiday.
Right,
That is a promotional holiday. That's
right,
people created that. So, but it's there. It's
mhm,
there, and there's expectations based on that.
right.
So we
Now,
get what we get.
now, don't get me wrong. I understand why those holidays are around, because
Mhm.
we don't have the decision, of carrying a child for 9 months and stuff like that. So I get it. I understand. I understand, like, why that wouldn't be a thing, because I feel like if that was the case, like if Twins was actually real, like you remember Twins, the movie Twins with Arnold, and he had the baby and stuff like that.
Oh, and the
Him,
little guy,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right, right.
And so I feel like if it was something like that, then yeah, there would probably be more holidays or more prominence for fathers out there. But I that's just my gut feeling talking to me right now. Like if that was actually a thing, I feel like there would be more prominence for fathers and things like that. But since it's not, a lot of the legwork is carried until the child is born and reaches a certain age, is carried by the wife or mother of the household or whatever the case may be. Uh,
I don't agree with that, but I mean, if that's how you
I
see
mean,
it.
I'm just saying, like the wife does the nurturing from a certain age point, and then it's the father's at a certain age point. It's the father's job, father figure, whatever you want to call it, to teach them about life, like how to survive in the real world and everything like that. So what I'm saying is, for that time period between the pregnancy and the period that the father comes in, is like, hey, it's now my turn to teach you. I mean, granted, they're still around like during
Mhm.
that time, but it's more like the father's not really, the kid's not really gonna comprehend a whole lot of stuff at the early age until maybe what I would say kindergarten, maybe.
Well, you think about it, and you know this as well, that kids are learning from the time, while they're in the womb.
Right.
So when they start growing, all that information is coming at a fast rate. You can never teach a kid more information as they grow from, being an infant until, I guess I say 5 or 6 years old. If you catch them there and give them the tools and all that stuff, they're absorbing everything you bring to them.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean you're right, but I mean the father's involved. They can hear the father's voice in
Yeah.
the womb. They can hear they're learning the whole time during development. So it's an awesome thing, and thank God for it. Um, it gives parents an opportunity to know the relevance of childbirth. Don't bring certain situations during childbirth because it's so important because that infant is taking that all in. Everything you're going through, they're going through. So, but that's irrelevant based on what I see now. Because Tat, and correct me if I'm wrong, how many times have you heard, I don't need a man? I cringe when I hear a woman say they don't need a man. And I cringe, definitely cringe when a man says they don't need a woman.
Hmm.
We need each other. That's very important. We need each other. And I see a divide coming there. Well, the divide is showing itself based on what's going on in the world. So let's say a man pays the bills, provides a lavish lifestyle. Is he entitled to be respected? Oh,
I've always
Tat, talk to
I've
me,
no no
man.
no.
Talk to me.
I'm formulating my opinion. I got it. I've always been of the mindset that you shouldn't have to buy things. I mean, that's a necessity. Yes, don't get me wrong, paying the bills, but providing a lavish lifestyle, stuff like that, that's not something that you should be forced to provide or have to provide to be respected. Like that should be day one. Like if you care about the person or whatever the case may be, then you should respect them. Like it's always a conversation. You may not agree on certain things, but there should always be a conversation. You should respect the other person's opinion or viewpoint that they're coming from. Like you can agree to disagree and then move on to something else. It shouldn't be like, oh well, he doesn't, you know what I mean? Like a lot of these conversations go, it's just one sided and nobody gets a say or whatnot. But if he's doing that, I mean, I'm sure he's gonna feel that way. but you get what you ask for. Like if you don't, if you
You think he asked to be
no, no, no,
disrespected?
no, no,
Or
no.
okay.
But I'm what I'm saying is, if that's the type of woman that you like, if you're providing it out of love and everything like that, but if you're doing it because you're wanting to show off or get, X woman and she doesn't respect you, then it's kind of like one of those, you know what I mean? Like if that's making sense. Basically, if you're doing it to show off or, flaunt or whatever, and you're attracting the wrong people and they don't respect you, then that's kind of on you for what you're trying to attract. You know what I mean? So if he's doing it, I mean, either way, it's a lose. I feel it's a lose lose situation for the for the
That's
male. So
I'm listening, but
no, no, I'm saying it's a lose lose situation for the male. Regardless, it's just like it just depends on what you're like. Why would you be doing it? Like in my eyes, it's like why would you? Because I'm different. I try to live within my means, everything like that. I don't go out like if I have excess money, I want to put it into doing other things
then
that
a lifestyle.
yeah, than a lifestyle. I don't need all that. Is it nice to have? Of course. It's always nice to have, but it's a want and not a need. Like am I full? Do I have a roof over my head? Are we safe? Everything's good? All right. We're happy. Now there will be a conversation if they want to move or something like that because you're going to have those conversations talking about moving out to the country or moving to a better neighborhood or whatever the case may be. But in this question, I feel like it's a lose lose regardless. So,
So you say I'm looking at it in a sense of if I did all that,
mhm,
no, you're not going to disrespect me.
right. I mean, yeah,
You're
of
not
course,
going to
that's what you're going to
disrespect.
be thinking. But I mean, you can think one way, and the other person can be thinking. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can say, no, you're not going to disrespect me, but she can still disrespect you, and then you're just like, well,
Absolutely, absolutely. But Tech, if she disrespects me, then she don't deserve me.
right. Oh, 100%. Yeah, and that's the mindset you should have, but that's not a mindset that a lot of people have.
Well, they need to change that mindset, and that's why we're having this podcast because is no way that I'm giving you what you need, paying the bills, and listen. I know the feelings and emotions and everything. People place a high value on that, but that's not everything. You got to have a roof over your head. You got to have food. Now, I'm not talking about accepting abuse from a man. Um, listen, even the even the animal kingdom, those the lioness and the lion. The lion sits around. The lioness goes hunt, catches the prey, brings it back for him to help eat on as well as her. Everybody plays a role. So that's why I cringe when I hear a man say, I don't need a woman, and I cringe when a woman says, I don't need a man. We need each other. But everybody plays a role. And the fact that we don't have that mindset and we don't have that way of thinking is the reason why we have kids lacking both sides of the pendulum. You need to know what the male role is, and need to know what the female role is. They're only getting one side of it. How many people have you heard of single mothers and their kids getting involved in things? I'm not saying two-parent families don't have similar situations, but it's less than when you have a family with a mother and a father in it. So you do need the man. You do need the woman. We need each other, but you got to accept your role.
Yeah, and I mean those roles can't and this and those roles can and probably will change as time goes on with how everything is going. Um, but that it leads to. I mean, this leads to other things as far as the male scope. Like for if a male let's say for instance a male sacrifices everything, and as far as sacrifice, um I wouldn't know what that entails, but if I hear the word sacrifice, I'm thinking about you giving up your dreams, your hopes, and everything like that to
It be that
support.
to that extent. It
Yeah,
could.
like
It be to
that.
that.
When I think about that, it's like you're giving up something that you wanted to do or you were looking forward to do or whatever the case may be to help out or to provide for someone that you're with. And if that's the case, if a man sacrifices everything, well, I would need more context. But if we were just talking about general, then
Mhm.
yeah, he of course he should get respect because he's giving up a lot. Even though he may not say anything, because I know a lot of us probably won't say anything.
Oh, well.
We'll
Until
sacrifice a
an argument.
yeah
Until an argument or
until
something being
right
questioned.
right.
Yes, that's right.
We won't. It's the silent what is the silent hero. We'll sacrifice a lot, but not say anything about it. Just until and like you were saying until an argument breaks out or whatever the case may be.
Or my
Um,
lack of commitment is questioned, or a lack of something is questioned on my part,
mm,
the male's part, then he might address that situation saying, I did this, I did that. But it's not something that a typical male will constantly keep throwing up in the other person's face.
right. So I would need well, of course, to answer that situation. Of course, they would, they should get respect. Um, but I would need more context as to why you're sacrificing everything. You know what I mean? It's like what is the situation that's going on in hand? Because like for you to just go out and sacrifice everything, it's like that tells me there's something wrong because you should always like try to have something you want to achieve. Like you have your individual goals and then you have like we were saying previously, you have the group goal. Like you have a group goal that you're both trying to work towards. However, you both have your individual things. Now those individual things probably will be need to be discussed depending on what they are, what you're trying to achieve, like if it's
Right.
corporate working stuff like that, especially when it comes to kids and everything of that nature. But if it's something that you can achieve without it interfering in the group dynamic or the group goal, then why are you giving it up? Like so, I would just need more context in regards to that situation. But to answer it lightly, yes, he should, but he probably won't because, like I said, we don't talk about it. We don't sit there and be like, I did X, Y, and Z in,
Until we have.
until it's necessary.
But respect is should always be there.
Mhm.
You should respect each other. And I know, you know, that's just common. You
Right.
should respect each other. When you see that the person is willing to do something that probably 9 times out of 10, I'm not, I'm gonna even go less than that, 50-50 chance that you probably, the other person wouldn't do that, give up their goals and sacrifice for the betterment of both parties. You should respect that. It doesn't matter if it's a he or she behind it. You know, I think you should encourage. Let's try to work it where both parties can get what they want. But if that person is willing to do that, you they don't only deserve your respect. You should it should be admiration there. You should value that person because they care about you enough to put themselves second. Now, you got a goal that is not prosperous and you're not doing what it takes to make it happen. You yeah, I mean, you wishing on a star. You say you want this, but you're not doing what it takes to get there, then it's probably better to just let it go anyway. But
Right.
still, it's still respect deserved. But respect is due to both parties all the time. And the lack of respect is what's going to cause turmoil in that relationship. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, ladies out there: a man is not going to accept being disrespected. A woman probably can better; they can handle it better, but a man doesn't handle that portion of their emotional well-being being disrespected the same way as a woman. So you can't put us in that same category when you do things that's disrespectful.
I mean, in your, I haven't been on this planet long enough to really provide a whole lot of input on that. So you know, I'll let you have that one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
And just talk about the lioness. Tag, talk about the lioness. It's just like a woman being the breadwinner
uh,
in her family. The lion is still the lion.
mm-hmm.
That don't change his role. But she goes out and hunts, bring the prey back, and he eats on it. He's still the lion. That don't change the fact that he's not a lion. And she's still the lioness. He's still the head.
Yeah, I guess it's so different because think about the when you think about the line, you think about different things. So when it's the wife being the breadwinner, you know, bringing home the money and everything like that, it would just everybody's just so used to the male being the breadwinner bringing it. So it's a little bit of shock to not necessarily me, but because I've had this conversation with a bunch of my other friends. They're jokingly, but I'm sure a lot of them are serious. They're like, "Oh, I don't mind. I'll let her be the breadwinner. I'll stay at home with the kids and cook and everything like that." I was just like,
but they accept the role. But I still believe that the lion should play their role.
mm-hmm.
The lion is still the protector,
right? Oh yeah, they're still gonna, you know, fight for the family and everything like that. But they're saying basically they would be the fun stay at home dad, whatever, with the kids. And I was just like, I mean, it was funny. It's funny just talking about that because I don't know. It's just like I said, it's just different, I guess, for our generation because more of us are more willing to be a stay at home
and that's sad. And that's sad.
Instead of being the breadwinner, I guess, doing the 9 to 5.
Your young guys. Your young guys.
It's not
that.
Huh? It's not. No. I'm just. I'm. It's not even that. It's just the fact that everybody. Well, we haven't, like I said previously, we're having that dynamic shift where it's not like it used to be in the 1890s and 1900s where the wife stayed at home and the male just came in with the briefcase and the hat, put the hat on the little hat rack and say, "Honey, I'm home." Times have changed, so you know you can do more things. You can contribute without having to do the 9 to 5 and things. Like you can have a supplementary income just being a stay at home dad. Like you can be on TikTok or Instagram or something like that and still earning income while you're at home, while the wife
maybe.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's an option now. You didn't have those options back in your era. so you know things are a little bit different back then, but you have those options to where you can still be contributing in a positive manner, and not even necessarily monetarily. You could just be doing things to help out, you know, your wife who's a breadwinner or whatever. Like, I feel it more. Go ahead.
Sure.
No, I was just saying it feels more like when you're. I don't know. It's more like an executive assistant kind of thing, like if that makes sense. Like you're
a team. Right, you're a team.
Right. You're a team, but if she's the breadwinner, you're trying to. If I'm just scenario. I'm thinking scenario here, so bear with me. If I'm a stay at home dad and my wife is the breadwinner, I'm gonna try to do what I can to alleviate any potential stress she may be bringing home, if that makes sense. So I'm still gonna be a man and make sure stuff around the house is fixed. Taking care of everything around the house like a man would do, regardless, mowing the lawn,
Mhm.
all that jazz and everything like that. But I mean, as far as like, picking up the kids and everything like that, I feel like the role would just be reversed a little bit. Than if it was like the wife at home and the I feel like the father really doesn't stress as much as the wife would. So the wife would stress more about being the breadwinner, coming home, making sure the kids are okay and everything like that. So you want to, as a stay at home father, you want to make sure that the kids are good, they're home safe, everything like that. Because I feel like if the roles were reversed, you're not thinking as much. You're I feel like the wife's priority is more so on the kids making sure they're safe, and the man's priority be more so making sure the home is safe, if that makes sense. So he's not gonna that first thing he's not gonna say is like, did you pick up the kids from school or something like that? It's like, what's going on when he walks in, what's going on in the house, anything I need to do, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like it just swap it they swap places a little bit, but
Okay.
you do more to make sure that her mind is in a good place and she's not worrying when she comes home.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Get what you're saying.
I was
No,
trying.
I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. I get what you're saying. It just roles reverse, and he's Mr. Mom or whatever,
Yeah. It's something
Mr.
like,
Mom.
yeah.
But what I want to say again, and then I'm gonna go on based on what I'm gonna say again. When I hear men say they don't need a woman, and a woman say they don't need a man, you need both parties,
I mean, everybody
and
wants to be
that can
loved.
work. That can work when the roles are changed. The man is taking on the role, but that's a conversation. That's goals that have been set between two parties, and the father is still there in the home. The mother is still in the home. Maybe she's the breadwinner, the major breadwinner, all well and good. If they agree to that, that's fine. But the thing is, both parties are there in the rearing of their kids. You have to have two. I know, and look, I'm not saying single mothers, single parents, single fathers can't do it and do a good job at it. But it was never designed that way. You need both parties. You need both. You get something from the father, no matter if he's playing Mr. Mom or he's the major breadwinner. You still need both. He gives to the kids something that the mother can't. And and she could be a good mother. She could be a great mother. And the thing about it, what people try to say, well, oh no. I grew up with a single mother practically, but as dude, she was a widow. So, but she grew up in a home where both parents were there. So she knew what it takes. Now you got generation after generation growing up where it was just only one person in the home. So the if you grew up and you just had your mother, how would you know what a man job is? How would you know how to pass that on to your kids? My mother knew what her father did in the home. So she passed it on to me. It passed it. That's how it goes on. But when you start pushing the father out, disrespect comes in. You're not accepting the role of the man in the house and how important it is. That's why you got a lot of single mothers. That's why you got a lot of crime. That's why you got a lot of kids out here trying to find their way and trying to replace that father figure with gangs or anything else, drugs that to fulfill that role of a father. And then you got young men out here who don't know where to go. They don't even know what they're supposed to do. Because what they were told to do is by mama. Because that's the only one that was in the house. Your generation, right under me, that if, the people under us, yes, they got a chance because we were brought up with all the tools of a mother and a father. We might not have them there, but we had the tools. But now it's going to the point where the tools hadn't passed on from there because you don't have that unity of a mother and father in the home. And that's how important it is. That's why we need each other. I don't care who makes the most money. I don't care what roles they play. They need to be there. And that's why men don't know how to treat women. That's why you got all this domestic violence and things like that. But I mean, talk to me. I mean,
you saying talk to you. I'm letting you speak. How am I going to talk to you if I'm letting you speak? You got the floor. He said, talk to me.
Let me do something. Am I off? Am I off because of you? I mean, the youth might see it differently.
There's a lot of things that go into that whole domestic violence thing. It's not just so much what you were stating. I mean, there's a lot of. I feel like I don't know necessarily about your generation, but our generation. Well, maybe just men in general. We just don't know how to deal with how to express.
Men, real men do.
Express feelings?
Real men do.
Okay.
They know how to hold it in. We don't need to express it.
No,
we
but what I'm saying,
job done. We get the job done.
Well, here's the thing: you can only hold it in for so long before it bubbles over, and it takes that.
You gotta know how to manage it.
Okay, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. Because a lot of us, we hold it in, and then it's that one thing that sets us off, and it's all downhill from there. And so that is I think a key. Well, not the main reason, but I think it's a big reason as to why some of these things happen the way they happen. Is because they're dealing with a lot of stress and of other things that we don't talk about. So it builds over as a boiling point, and then especially if you have a wife or a significant other that doesn't respect you in the home, you're coming home to that.
Absolutely.
You're coming home to a wife that doesn't respect you at home. Your boss is getting on you every day at work. Your friends are, not really your friends. Your friends probably would try to cheer you up, but you're dealing with all this other stuff in life, and you don't have an outlet to talk about those things, so it just boils over. And then she says something that, and then you have. And then you know what I mean? And then you have that instance. So it
should always know to control their emotions.
But a lot of people don't.
And that's a learned behavior.
But a lot of
that
people,
is not something you get naturally.
But a lot of people don't. And that's the thing. So a lot of people may not have played.
That's the importance of man being in the house.
I wouldn't even say being in the house. Like you just playing sports.
A positive model in the house, not a negative. A true man a man.
Yeah, but you're
not because you're a male makes you a man.
But here's the thing: you're playing as a kid. You're playing roulette. You don't know what kind of person you have, and that you don't know what kind of person you have. He may teach you everything else you need to learn, except for how to handle your emotions. Like teach you how to handle adversity, all this other stuff. But then because he might not have been taught by his father. So you're playing roulette. It's not a guarantee that your father or father figure. That's what I'm saying. You play sports or something else where they can teach you how to handle those emotions or another outlet, get all those other resources or something like that. But you can't, it would be nice to rely on the father to do all that, but not all fathers have all those tools. So as a kid, you're playing roulette. Because you're playing roulette because You don't know what kind of father you have until you're getting older. Your father may not have had those tools because you don't know what background he's coming from. So it just depends. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the father should, but it's not a 100% guarantee.
But where would the father get the tools other than sports? So you're relying on somebody else. What I'm saying is the structure of the home is there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It is there for a reason.
And
And the thing about it is in the animal kingdom, it is a structure. It is a form structure that is designed for preservation. To move on and to survive, you need these elements.
right.
Without one or the other, it's chaos. And that's what we're running into.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not just, I wouldn't even try to say, which I know you would try. Oh, it's your generation. No, because it's the generation. It's the generation
This is
above us.
generation before. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
So that tries to teach us those things. And it, once again, if they don't have those tools that were taught to them, because I know that generation was introduced in what the drug era and everything like that. So you had a lot of drugs, crime, things like that. So they had a lot of stuff that they didn't get that they're trying to teach us that they might not know about. So,
and like I stated in the last podcast, community. You got to, and you were saying, oh, it's legal aspects and all this
because
stuff.
because everybody
It is. I get
you can't
it.
just go out your way to be like, hey, young bug, let me go teach you. You can't just go out your no.
I get it. I get it. So society has indoctrinated that philosophy. Now the community can't even save you. So the importance of getting back to the old foundations and listening to older philosophies and just listen to the concept of what a marriage and your role as a spouse and as a wife is very critical now, because you're going to have to go down to the basics again so that the next generation can survive. And it's so bad in our community that we see it every day. Shootings, the disregard for life. And they don't care if it's a neighborhood full of kids, they're gonna fire the guns, they're gonna shoot. They don't care. And that is the breakdown of the foundation of a family. That's the result. Come on, Ted, talk to me.
Break. No, I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to listen to you, understand what you're saying. I hear you, but I like I said, I'm going back to what my basis was, and that's a lot of times those tools aren't provided to the males. Like you might have a mom or mother, single mom that she'll teach you some stuff as far as trying to be a man, but I think you get a lot more from being around positive influences if you're in the home of a single parent. Um, and like I said, you're really playing craps because you don't know what you're gonna get when you come out the womb. Like you don't know who those people. You come out the womb, you don't know who these people are. You don't know who.
Oh my God.
You don't know who these people are until later on. So you don't know what you got. You don't know their backgrounds or
What
anything like that.
environment? Yeah, what environment you growing up in?
Exactly.
And just like anything, you adapt.
Right.
You adapt to your environment. You know, you just adapt. But the thing is, you don't necessarily have to be in that environment if the parents are in the right mind. So what I'm saying is it's a development process for young adults to know who they are and respect the other person for who they are and expect them to fulfill their role in society, in life. You're the lion, I'm the lioness, and we have cubs.
Right.
That's I can't teach a lioness can't teach a lion to be a lion. You know, the male cub to be a lion. The lioness could teach the female to be a lioness. And it I'm not knocking single parents who done a great job and raised their kids, and they are good kids. That is rare. More than not, the kids are not good kids. More than not, when they're single parents and the other person is not there, they don't get the tools, especially based on the environment that they have to grow up in. It it's just a fact. You know, you might be lucky, and you might be the lucky one, and everything worked out fine. I hear about situations where kid 16 years old asked another 16-year-old that they were dating to kill their parent, kill their mother, and he did. And this happened in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. Where's the disconnect? Where's the father? You see the importance. I'm just throwing, and I can do example after example where it's situations where as a single mother, a situation was handled totally to the extreme. A 10-year-old kid wanted a virtual
VR
game
set?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shot his mother.
So would you say that falls under the father being neglected or just phased out, or is that because there's a lot of things we don't know? So
It's being phased out.
he's being
The need for the man.
so basically being neglected. And so we're saying that,
Right,
okay.
like
No,
I don't need a man. I don't need a man.
Right. No, I'm just trying to make sure we're on the same page as far as the man being phased, because I was like, that could be an instance of, you wanted to have fun and then you're not ready for the consequences or whatever the case may be. So just want to make sure we're both on the same page, and that's just from the man being neglected, phased out, whatever you want to call it, in that
How
household.
important he is. How important he is. And it is important who you have a kid with. Are you having a kid just to have a kid, or are you having a kid with a man that you could say is a good man that will give your kids the tools they need to survive?
Oh man. uh, mm, okay.
That's not making women less valuable. What I'm saying is we both hold value.
Right.
You can't look down on me because you paying the bills. It's more the bills when you start bringing kids into this world. It's more about having money when you start bringing kids into this world. Now, if you by yourself, it's all good. You can do what you want. You don't need a man. You're right, you don't need him. But when you bring a kid into this world, oh yeah, you need daddy. And he need mommy too. Not just one. If you by yourself, good.
Now we'll say money does go a long way, but that's neither here nor there. I hear you. I acknowledge what you're saying, but I'm like, hey, let's not get it twisted. Money does go a long way when it comes to that kid. let's not get it twisted. Money does go a long way when it comes to raising that kid. It goes a long way. It save you a lot of headaches. Right. save you a lot of headaches. Money. let's call a spade a spade. Hey, that'll get you a long way. Make sure you have them you have them plenty the restful nights. Let's not get it twisted. That money will help. but if okay, so it's and on the topic of money and going back to the breadwinner.
Mhm.
Um, so for example, she reaches or he reaches. They both reach their goals or whatever, right?
Okay.
Um, and well, they talk about their goals. One side reaches, he starts to fall behind in reaching his or whatever. Do you do you feel like there is respect lost because I feel like in that point some people may look at it as like a competition at that point. It's like, well,
So,
I reached my goal first. Now what are you doing? Why are you not on my same page? Et
no.
cetera, et cetera. Not taking into account how hard the goal may be, because I don't know what goals you may have set. The goal may be hard, so
Yeah.
you may not have an understanding of what
Yeah, this
goes
is a
into.
different time now. Women seem to get things easier than men now.
So,
Especially in this uniform, they tend to get it a little easier now. It's a different time. So you got to look at that too. Come on,
right.
Tat.
Uh, so do you at that point do you feel like the I guess what's the word? I mean, neglect does not neglect, but disrespect does play a role into. But the word I'm looking for is what's the word? It's not disrespect, but it's I can't. I'll think.
Disappointment,
I think disappointment. Is
expectations.
yeah,
You
like the
need it. Yeah.
expectations, disappointment. There's a lot more disappointment, and I think that rolls over into disrespect because then it's just like I said, if you're
Yeah.
in a competitive environment, like you and your wife, like you're both from competitive backgrounds or whatever the case may be, that could be a situation for failure down the road, depending on how competitive you both were. Um,
Absolutely.
and so that, and when you get to that crossroad where you're like, she reached her goal first, but you have to put in a little bit more work. Should she, of course, we know our answers. Yes, you should still respect him, but you should,
Absolutely.
I feel like, talk to him.
If he's putting the work
If
and
he's
he just
putting, of
didn't get
course,
the
yeah.
opportunity.
Right.
Right.
But if he's putting in the work, and you should talk to him to see what's going on. Don't just assume
That's right.
that don't just assume that whatever is going on, he should already have it by now, because if you do that, that leads down that road of you're not, you're disappointed in him. You could potentially disrespect him, whatever the case may be, because you start to develop that superiority complex where you think you're better than your partner because
Well, I
you
achieved this before you did.
right.
I got here before you. You're not there yet. But the thing is, I think you work on each other goals the same.
Mhm.
You know, he's helping you, you helping her. Uh, and as you go, you if you helping each other to achieve certain milestones, then once if you make it, you understand why the other person didn't make it because it was something outside of their control.
Mhm.
You just happened to go another route and it worked out for you. But this person didn't do anything less, didn't put it less effort. It's roadblocks for different people. We're different people. We're different things. We're going in two different career paths. So you have to respect that. But that comes with communicating with each other, have the same mindset, having the same goals, same goals, long term, short term, and you're working together. You're not working separate, but expecting, having certain expectations.
Right.
Now, if you're working separate, then that's what you're going to run into. And you could run into disrespect, like you were saying, and then disappointment, being looked down upon. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, like I'm saying, and I said before, men handle that differently than women. A woman might sit there and cry and get depressed. A man might lash out, knowing that they gave up everything, trying, and that other person is like saying, "Oh, you're a loser."
but not verbally saying, but basically not those words won't come out or those words don't come out the mouth, but the body language
Right.
says it all, right? Like just
That's
the
right.
body
That's
language
right.
and the interaction. But I mean, I guess at that point, then you start resenting. You start resenting your
Yeah.
partner. It's just, I mean, that's just,
Absolutely.
I mean, that goes into everything we were saying earlier is about the the domestic violence and everything like that. Once you
That's
have
right.
that resentment, and so it's one of those things.
It's ugly.
It's a marathon and not a sprint.
That,
That's the
that's a good
one.
way to put
That's
it.
I think that's the one thing I tell a lot of my, and this is a little bit off topic, but for instance, there's an all day, the bar crawls, how they're all day or
Oh
whatever.
yeah. Okay.
So
Right.
tell my friend, they're like, oh yeah, we should go to the bar crawl. I'm like, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. This thing lasts from 12 o'clock p.m. all the way until 12 o'clock a.m. It's the
Yeah.
12-hour thing. If you sprint,
That's right.
you're done in 3 hours.
You
You're
done
going
in 3 hours.
you're going home. It's the same.
That's right.
It's the same thing when you're in those situations. It's a marathon. You're going by. You're doing your rounds. You're grabbing the water from the sideline. Drink your
Right.
water.
Break.
You
Right.
keep on pushing.
Rest. Take a break.
E-
Walk around. Sweat it off a little bit. Then come back. I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you just gotta communicate, communication is a big part of it. I think
Absolutely.
if you communicate with each other, you shouldn't have any issues. You shouldn't. I
That's
mean
right.
that
That's why you're going through the struggle together. Like those expectations, those goals. You're working through each other's goals together.
right.
So it's no misunderstanding that, oh, I feel that I just, I can look down at this person knowing that this person is very much capable of getting there, but something came up outside his control. But it's just so happens it didn't happen to me. And I was able to accomplish my goal sooner. So no. And that's what the communication, just like you said, is so important because with communication, you know where I'm at. You know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I know what you're doing. I know where you're at. I'm happy for you that you made it. I'll be there shortly. I'm just for some some undetermined reason I didn't get there. Outside of my control, I didn't make it.
Right.
So, and you know it, and you know it. The other person knows it. So don't try to do this by yourself. That's why it's important as a team. You can do anything. You can do it by yourself too, but with a couple and you're working together, great. And if it, now I'm not even going to go there. But the thing is, as a couple, work together. Communication, like you said, is very important.
Right. Because there and this leads me to something else is when you have those situations, I've seen it multiple times where she may have achieved her goals, he may not have. She leaves, he achieves the goal and gets catapulted to a whole new category. Basically, what
If
they
you want to
say,
come back,
yeah, she wants to come back. I've seen it so many times. It's just like, hey, you gotta, you gotta just, you never know what the future holds. So if you believe, in your partner, hey, just try to do everything you can to help them within reason. It's just communication. You just gotta talk it out and do everything you can because it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're not gonna sit there unless you hit the lottery, which is a 1 in 800 million chance or something like that.
that's right.
You're not gonna get to the finish line that quickly. So it just, yeah, just communicate and work on it. That's all you can do. I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, you can have that communicate. You can communicate as two decent human beings and realize it's like, hey, this isn't going to work out. We should go our separate ways. Um, Now, of course, that changes when you have a kid, but that's something for a totally
Oh
different.
yes, yes, yes.
That's something for totally. That's a totally different. That's a totally different thing.
But the thing is, that's why I brought up the kids. You can think that way when you're by yourself.
Mhm.
But when you bring a kid into this world, you got to allow them to have the tools of both parents. Logically, if something happens and one dies or something like that, you can't control that.
Right.
But the thing is, you sitting around, you know, having kids without a the father there and thinking that you could do it by yourself and you don't need that person. No, you need each other. You need each other. If you think of this man well enough to have his kid, then you should think of him that same way to raise him.
Right. But even if it doesn't work out, you should still be amicable. Like you should still have time. The whole spend the weekend with your dad, whatever the case may
Right,
be.
that's right.
Like it
That's
should
right.
be. It shouldn't. I know it's in ideal world. It should be amicable, but
Right.
it's people have fallouts and everything like that. I get it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be roses, roses and everything
Right.
for every
Right.
situation. But ideally, you would want to, even if you decided, okay, you brought a kid in and then you decided it's like, hey, we're not compatible, whatever the case may be, whatever the situation was, still
I
let
wish
the
you had thought about that before you had the kid,
yeah,
but
yeah.
hey, that's me talking because I know how important it is, and I'm sorry that I didn't use it in my own life, but it is so important,
But
and
you don't have
and
future sight, so you're not gonna know what the future
that's
holds.
right, that's right.
So you could be like, yeah, I want to have a kid now, but then you realize after you have the kid that you may have not been ready. I mean, nobody's ever ready for children. So
Oh man, this work.
so you're never gonna be it's like you're never gonna be ready for children. So it's one of those.
and, and and this is what I want to stress. Listen, mothers, even mothers and fathers in a home, raising a child is work. Listen, you can't respect it until you go through it. I hadn't gone through it like I probably should have, but I'm telling you, it is work. And when I see a young lady having more than one kid that they have to raise, I don't know how they do it. You have to be a superwoman to do it because I'm telling you, the amount of time, effort, the needs of your kids, one, I'm talking about one, is so demanding, but it's pleasurable because you do it because of love. You you just can't go out there and have 20. It's just it's a lot.
I mean, you can if
It
you're
is
Nick
a lot.
Cannon, but
If you raise your kids, if you are raising your kid. Now, if you just having them, it's a much easier. But if you are doing as a parent should, it's a lot of work. And I admire every parent out there because it's hard. And it's hard in a good way. It's rewarding in a great way. But it's not easy. It's not easy. It's
of
rewarding, not easy though.
of course, and like I said, I've seen situations where they brought a child in, they realized they weren't compatible when it came time to raising the kid, but they're still amicable. Like they know the kid needs both, so
Right.
they still speak to each other.
That's
Like
great.
they broke up and we're still, even though it's very rare to see this, but they broke up and they're still friends. Like
Right.
they
Okay.
got a divorce, they're still friends, so they're very they're it's like a friendship. They're still talking to each other, but
That's right.
not in the way to where it would be intrusive to somebody like the other person's partner, like whoever's
Partner. Right.
or whatever the case may be. But they're still like, hey, I'm dropping them off this X date. I'll see them. I'll bring them back
Well,
this date.
No problem.
whatever the case may be. So, and you don't really see that often. So it was I was kind of shocked to see like this.
Really?
Like, because when you ask them, it's like, okay, so
It's rare.
you and your ex broke up. It's like, yeah, we're still good friends. It's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. So,
Now, were they married or dating?
no, they were married and then they got divorced.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So when you think that, it's like divorce, usually it's just like, I'm not talking to her anymore, whatever.
Yeah, I hate her. I hate her. She hates him. He's sorry, no good piece of, whatever.
So it's just really, it was really, it was awkward because you don't see that often. So it was like,
That's right.
needle and haystack kind of thing. So it's just like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I mean, you gotta do it.
So I'm gonna ask you a quick question: do women feel less valued
in regards to what? As far as being
men in society?
I would say they're probably not even overvalued, but they're just like
you said overvalued.
I was about I'm like that's the wrong word, but it's just like I guess entitled would probably be the
right entitled. You said overvalued.
No, not overvalued. Oh, I mean, no, I mean, like I said, I was like, no, hey, overvalued is not the right word. Entitled is the word I'm looking for, not overvalued. I mean, I don't know. I know there's a lot out there that are, that are in the right state of mind, but there's a lot of them out there that's just like, what are you talking about? Like,
yes. What planet are you on to believe that's the way and you think that's okay?
Right.
No. Like you said, I think Me Too and all that stuff and things going on in society. What's it, Wakanda and Woman King and all that stuff? It's a shift. It's a blatant, upfront, in your face shift that pushing women to take the man's role, and it's sad, but that's why we're in the situation we're in. Women, you need a man. Men, you need a woman. We need each other when it comes to building a family, a foundation. Now, by yourself, you're fine. But when you bring a kid in, you need both.
And I mean, I guess that this rolls into I feel like they are treated well. It depends on what you're talking about as far as being
treated great.
And depends on what you're talking about. So I mean, it's just like, honestly, I feel like it's a lot of having your cake and eating it too. Because I mean, you're not really. There's a lot of things that you're not forced to do that a man usually has to go through, like as far as being drafted. Like I know that's more of a male thing. I don't know if that's changed recently, but as far
as could have changed,
but as far as I know, it's like the males that get drafted and go off if something was to happen. As far as like being firemen, it's mostly like the male is the one going in there because they have to carry people and things like that.
Yeah,
and,
right. They're able to carry someone out.
Right. So it's I personally I don't understand why you want to put yourself in that situation, like wanting to play like football and stuff like that, like in a sport with the top 1%. I'm like, hey, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it, but I don't want to hear you complain if you get rocked. It's just gonna take that one hit that car crash is what they call it, because you're running at 22 miles an hour, high end speed, and so it's going to take that one hit, and you're like, oh, I mean, hey, You know what I mean? Like
Too
I just
hard. No, 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 no.
it's
This is
just
football.
there's just some things I don't feel like you need to seep over into. Like, but that's just me. Like, I mean, you can play football, that's fine. You can make like a do like the NBA, but even though I know a lot of people don't like like WNBA, but you can do like a female football league or something like that, like a something subsidiary of the NFL for the women or something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of different ways to do it because if you're trying to get into that high end, that 1% where people are training 8 to 10 hours a day to be the best that they can be, and it's just you could tell there's already a difference in body mass and everything like that.
Yes, and it's a physical difference between male, for the most part, a male and a female. And we have to respect the rule. I'm not going to ask a lioness to be a lion,
Right.
just like I'm not going to ask a lion to be a lioness. So it's we know our roles. Uh, just like with the UFC when they had that transgender uh, fight
Hmm.
with the women, he dominated or she dominated.
Hmm.
That wasn't fair. That was a man fighting a woman. In a sense, it was a man fighting a woman. But you think that's fair? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. And when you start playing with the semantics, we are built differently. We are a different structure. Now, they should definitely have one where that group of people, transgenders, fight amongst each other. If they want to be in that realm and fight, they should fight amongst each other, just like males fight amongst each other or whatever. And the females of nat- uh, natural childbirth females should fight in their group. If we're gonna put groups, what's wrong with having groups in all areas? So, but what I'm saying is there is a physical difference between male and and females should understand that, and males should understand that as well. And let's be fair about it. Let's be right. You know it is, and
Understand and respect it. Like
respect that. That's right.
that's I think that's the key thing because I feel like there is getting to that point of like you're not respecting the sport that's been around for
That's right.
for almost 100 years. And same thing with basketball. Like I'm all and once again I'm all for like them if the in business mindset
Mhm.
before we get out of here, business mindset, the product has to be worth the price, right? So if the product is not producing, why would the price be the same, if not more, than what the other product is doing? Like
Yeah.
that, and that's just a business mindset. I understand, and I'm all for it. I'm all for them wanting to get paid and everything like that. But a businessman would look at it X's and O's. It's like, is the product generating the income to provide X amount of dollars that this sport is providing up here? So it's like two different levels. So I mean, I get it. I get it. I get why they're asking for but just like it's gonna be hard
Yeah,
because
I don't.
you'd have to change a lot of the rules. Let them because I think they can't dunk or something like that, right? They can't dunk on they might have changed that now, but I remember
Right.
before they wouldn't be
But
able to
I
they
think they
couldn't
could
dunk.
probably could down. But the thing is, I don't see the stadiums packed in the WNBA like it's packed in the NBA.
Right.
And it's, I mean, it's women out there. Why aren't the stadiums packed and generating that kind of money? And that's a sport. That's a sport that but to ask to come to in NBA as a female, why are you not getting the support in the WNBA? You can make that happen with the WNBA. You can make that happen by going to the games, supporting that, that professional sport. But it doesn't happen.
Right. Because, and I'll tell you from just conversations I've had, and before we get out of here, with other people about it, and we got a little bit of kind of, but not really. But a lot of people say
really.
it's just boring to watch. It's not entertaining to them, and I mean that's just talking to a handful of people. They prefer the NBA because of the flashiness, the names, the brands, the people that bring in the crowds and everything like that. Like you can name, I'm sure if I go up to 100 people, they can name probably 5 to 10 NBA players compared to WNBA players. So I mean,
but it's all about support,
right?
If you feel that way, and if a certain group feels a certain way, support it.
Right.
Fill up the stadium. Fill it up. Do commercials. Sponsorship. I guarantee if you do that, they'll get it. But you got to support it. You can't expect somebody just to give it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the most recent thing I read. But like I said, after the whole football thing, when I read the most recent thing I read was the female kicker in college, and I was like, okay, I can understand that.
Vanderbilt, was that
Vanderbilt? I think it's either Vanderbilt or Colorado or something, one of those two schools. I remember the colors; it was kind of the same, and I was like, okay, female kicker. I really, because me being an athlete, and most of us that have been athletes are like, kicker, it's not really, it is, but it's kind of like you got one job. So it's just like, so I didn't really think anything about it, but when I heard that they're trying to.
But how many other kickers out there that doing well didn't get the publicity that person got because of just crossing over?
Right.
Oh. Now, how much publicity would it got if it was a female sport and a male went in it? Dominating.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I mean,
LeBron playing WNBA, 5,000 points a game. I mean, would that look good? Would that be something that people will say, "Oh man, that's great. He's the greatest."
I mean, they probably would say that. they probably would say that.
I just say respect our roles. Disrespect our roles. There's nothing wrong with it. Stop making it something bad. It's not a bad thing. Why are you making it bad? Women are treated fairly. And to some extremes, is almost being catering to. Mm-hmm. But our roles are not something to be looked upon in a negative light. It's the way it is. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's just my opinion.
And with that, I think we that's a good one to stop on right there. Like I said,
we're good.
It's a lot of other stuff that we've talked about in previous podcasts that bring into one group. So,
and thank God for women.
Exactly. But we hope you all enjoyed this week's podcast, and we will see you all next week. And I think
Next
we
week.
have a guest this month as well.
Yes,
So
yes.
so yeah, it'll be interesting. But you all take care, and we'll see you next week.
Take
We're
care.
back on the ground
Peace.
again. Later, everybody.